It's been a minute, but we are back into Red Hood Outlaw, issue 28. At the last issue, we had that very poignant moment with Bruce and Jason essentially making amends, but of course, going their separate ways. Roy ends up in Appletown, and he has been spotted. And this is supposed to be the town that is funding or operating the Underlife. And as we open up, this is the sheriff or whatever he is from the last issue. He's working with the Underlife Mafia. He goes, "My, that does look painful." "Don't get up, Sheriff. I just need you to write down everything you told Red Hood. Remember, penmanship counts." That's a great way to open an issue. You open up on the stakes and something that's about to happen, a very foreboding moment. So even though this is umpteen years later, Scott Lobdell still has that old school comic style. And it makes you wonder, who's this new character? What a lovely man. It says, oh, that's not him. That's Wingman. In the old days of comics, we'd call this a subplot, which means we'll be dealing with this guy in a few issues. And I like that the meta humor here is kind of fun. But one thing that I will say, this is, at the time of this recording, this is 2026. This was written a while back, but still I hate that he has to literally say that this is a subplot for people to get it. And that's why when people say, man, you get explosive sometimes, it's because that shouldn't have to be said. You know, if comic books still kept that old school craft that it was, we wouldn't have to say in the old days of comics. It shouldn't be in the old days. This should be the standard. But anyway, I'm exploding. Sorry. But I just want to set that aside. I like that. Just like in his old school X-Men days, we get a foreboding subplot. Really makes you want to say, well, what's going to happen in the next few issues? So this is delicious. Okay. Scott Lobdell, writer. Pete Woods, artist and cover. And again, I miss when the cover artist was the interior artist. And we've gone over that several times, talking about how I hate more than, like, you pick up a book and the cover's gorgeous. Give you something like an Alex Ross variant or something. And then you open it up and you're like, what the hell is this? It's like you cracked open a polished turd. Or the inverse happens where, you know, sometimes you want a cover to grab you. I mean, you look at like X-Men 102, for example, or what's another good example? Batman 252, when they first reintroduced the Joker and he's standing there foreboding over Gotham with Batman chained to that Joker's card. And then you open, but you know, there's times where you get a cover and it's like, and you don't want to touch it. But if you can get past the cover and you open it up, you go, damn, this interior art's good. I miss that. I feel like there's such a disconnect in that regards. Anyway, Rex Lokus doing the colors and ALW's Troy Peteri doing the letters. Then we enter into the town of Appleton. Now I get it. They sure do love their apples around these parts. And very much a picturesque scene of old school America. Apparently somebody's a big fan of the Underlife too. I began following leads with Roy. And I like how there's that pause, because at this point, Roy is pronounced dead after, what is the name of that event? I care so little about the event that it slips my mind. Heroes in Crisis, I think was what it was, but y'all know how I feel about. Anyway, and wound up here. God only knows why. And so, at least for a moment, we're kind of brought into the very Townsy folks, like something you'd read like in a Mark Twain novella. I spy someone with an empty mouth. That won't do. You didn't come all the way to our humble little town to miss our world-famous pie. Yeah, thank you anyway. Nonsense. Not much of a pie. That is delicious. Now he goes for some cider. And of course we get like the mom-pa family recipe. Hold up a second, son. I too got something for you. You've already been hospitable to a fault. I insist, son. So I just love that juxtaposition of small town America to rifle. He says, you know, being hospitable to a fault? Almost. And then the cacophony. And then we just see everybody, just like in Shaun of the Dead, it goes from this very small, quiet community to just hell. We even see, Ma Kent, for lack of a better term here, son of a Ms. Ethel, no one likes a potty mouth. Gotcha. Oh, you're gonna wish you didn't do that, Jethro. Oh my! And even in the moment, even though Red Hood and Batman, the books are usually a little more serious, and I've pointed out that I hate silly humor sometimes because I just feel like it takes away from the plot. But here, it could be that I haven't had enough coffee, but it's just so funny. She stabs the dude in the back, and she's like, "Oh my!" Like, "Oh heavens!" Don't think the Chamber of Commerce isn't going to hear about this. You're gonna die here. Nah. I don't know. I just think that's so funny, and it really sets the theme of this zaniness. But of course, he gets overwhelmed. And then it goes from like this cultish feeling, like I said, not Shaun of the Dead. Hell, what's the name of the ice cream trilogy? I can't remember the name of the ice cream trilogy. Hot Fuzz. Hot Fuzz is the one that I'm thinking of. And if y'all don't know, I forget the name of the ice cream Coletta trilogy or something like that. It's Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, and then the end of the world at the bar at the end of the world, or whatever it's called. And the colors are based on ice cream. So there's a little thing for you guys to go explore in your free time. So we go from this cultish small town America feel to all of a sudden a horror film. Wait, what? Do I know you? And then we get this very creepy looking like Solomon Grundy. And I thought it was Grundy at first. He goes, get a load of easy, big guy, crack. Yourself. Now, another thing that I want to point out here in terms of old school, and this shouldn't be old school, in terms of old school comic storytelling, I've said this several times about comics are a visual medium. Look at how Lobdell here, I mean, yes, there's a little bit of dialogue here, which is fine. I mean, you can't have a silent comic because there has to be a happy medium. But just enough dialogue to push it forward. But he's letting the art do the talking, just like you should in the comics. Just recently, and I've shared this on my Facebook page, there was a documentary where they were interviewing Scott Lobdell back in the day when he took over Uncanny. And he was talking about how people were wondering how he was going to live up to Claremont's legacy. And even he was nervous, but he just said, I just kept writing and people kept loving it. And yes, that's why a lot of us will say that after Claremont left, Lobdell, Nikezia, and even Grant Morrison on New X-Men kept the brand alive all the way until the early 2000s. And that's why we count them among, even though Chris Claremont and Louis Simonson and Ann Nasanti kept it alive through the 70s, 80s, and the last half of the 90s, these guys carried the torch into the next generation. And that's why there's, to me, are still some of the last greats of the X-Men books. And that's why I think, to a degree, I am biased on this. Because look at this. In newer books, you would see like Jason making like a dialogue box this big of like a paragraph of explaining exposition, and you just at the point of it, you feel like you're reading a freaking novella instead of a comic book. You know, if it's like a novella, sure, fine, whatever. But that's not what this is. You only get maybe 30 pages tops to explain the beats of the story that you want in this issue. And so we get that he's woken up after being bombarded, getting smacked in the face with a sledgehammer, which one thing, again, sorry guys, I'm all over the place today. You see heroes get punched in the face a lot. Jason gets a freaking sledgehammer to the face. One thing that I wish that they would acknowledge, and if they have, let me know where. You would think all his teeth would either be chipped or gone at this point. You would think Batman, Robin, the spoiler, they would be walking around with dentures by this point. But anyway, I digress. And so boom, boom, beat. We are now nighttime. He's hung to a cross, very cultish feeling, with this resurrected Solomon Grundy. and just the boom, boom, whoosh, hope this works. And then just this brutal impaling Grundy. Genuinely feel bad. No way this guy has the brains behind this. If it's him or me, I'm going with me. Now, again, sorry guys, but I read to my kid at night. And so right now I'm reading the Pokemon mangas to him. He's really gotten into it. I'm just like, yes. But I've started to do sound effects when I'm reading to him. So, ergo, now I tend to, when I'm doing these videos, I tend to do sound effects. So just roll with it, guys. But anyway, the book ends with Batwoman. What the hell's going to happen? We get two cool characters teaming up, and we see that they both kind of have some attitude. Hood, woman, you're a long way from Gotham, and you're not a long way at all from having your ass kicked. You should have driven me through when you had the chance, Batwoman. And I just love how instead of hitting her, he takes the Grundy guts and so gross. You missed Batman by a day. I didn't go back to Gotham with him. Sure as hell not going back with you. There's that healthy Jason Todd ego I remember. But the truth is, we really don't have time for this bat guano. You couldn't have opened with that. And that's where the book ends. Now, again, this isn't one of those, like, this is the 1,000,000th, 1,000th of a 10th variant cover, or this is the first, teeny tiny footnote appearance of who gives a shit. That was fun for the sake of just being a fun action filled with some good comedy beat issues. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Silly can be good as long as it's done properly and not just like, oh my god, I can't wait to talk about this on Facebook with my Power Dog because I'm on Power Dog diets now. Hate that shit. But this stayed in universe, in character, with Batwoman getting a face full of Grundy guts. That's great. Or Grandpa Kent pulling a shotgun when Jason's trying to drink some apple cider. So this issue, lots of little fun antics with some really cool action and really cool creepy bits to lead up to who is this Wingman or whatever that guy's name is. I can't remember off the top of my head. And what is all these Grundy clones doing? What's the Underlife up to? We will find out in issue 29. So if you've enjoyed what you've seen, please first and foremost support your local comic shop, wherever it is like to get your action figures and comics, and pick up this series. Or as the way that I'm doing it, support your local library and see if you can get the collected trade that way as well. And if you've enjoyed this review, really would appreciate it if you take a moment to hit like, share, and subscribe. Helps the channel more than you could possibly know. And if you don't mind hitting that fancy little hood bell next to subscribe, that was where we can upload content. You guys get notified. Come to the channel, and I love talking with y'all and hearing your thoughts and feedback down in the comments or the socials, which I'll make sure the links down in the description. So with all that said, hope you all continue to have an absolutely amazing day reading, and happy hunting, everyone.